Well, it's October 27th, and I'm getting the kayak ready to go do some crappie fishing tomorrow. What do you do when you're fishing fall crappie and there's no structure? No boat docks, no flooded timber or trees? Well, I'm going to start with the obvious place. I'm going to start on the riprap of a dam, and then I'm going to try and work my way out from there. Come along, hopefully I'll find some crappies tomorrow morning on a little 100-acre highland reservoir. I'm out here on Curlew Reservoir in South Dakota. It's only a little over 100 acres, maybe even a little less than that right now because water's down. Doing a little crappie fishing end of October. Throwing out a double jig rig and a single bobber. Oh, had one on the bobber. He let go. It's the only second time I've ever fished on this lake, so don't really know it very well, but we're trying to learn it. There we go. Another nice little fish on here, it feels like. The old double jig rig is a good way to go this time of year. So far both fish have been on the bottom jig. It's, the top jig on the tie. That's the bottom jig in the water. That's the blue ice, I think it's called. Here are 10 inches exact. I'm going to go ahead and throw this fish back. So I'm using a 2-rod setup here. I'm throwing out a little slip bobber with a pink marabou jig sticking under it. Had 3 or 4 bites on it, but they're not really committing to it. And I'm throwing out a double jig rig with a couple of Bobby Garland tails on it. The wind's doing goofy things to me so far. I'll see what its drift is going to do for the day. It's supposed to get pretty strong later today. Hopefully I'll have a few fish caught and be out of here before then. I'm wanting to maybe slide in a little tighter to this riprap. There's one. Double jig rig is a great way to find them this time of year. Got him on the bottom one, the pink one that time. Little guy, but we're finding some fish. Looks like the crappies might all be at the far side of the riprap there. Caught 3 over there in no time at all. Haven't had any bites here so far. Oh, thought I had one right from the get-go. There's one. Well, it took a while, but it paid off finally. Pretty crappie. On the bottom jig, a pink one. Love it. There ain't much more I love than fishing with jigs of any kind. Love it for walleyes, I love it for northern, bass, and certainly crappies. That's an 11-inch fish. I'm going to go ahead and throw that one on the stringer. Give Mama something to eat tonight. Well, so far I've caught 4 fish on a double jig rig. On a lake I've only been on 1 time, and I don't have any electronics, so finding some fish. Key when you're fishing that double jig rig is don't get fancy with your jigging. Cast it out, you reel it back in nice and slow. I was definitely having a lot more action at the other end of the riprap. A real important rule I like to follow in fishing is go where the bites are. So I'm going to paddle back over there after this cast. Alright, let's go find the fish. When you're running the double jig rig, there are at least 4 ways you can influence how your presentation will move through the water. The first one, of course, is the weight of the jig heads themselves. You can use a slightly heavier jig on the front. If you run equal-sized weights, they will run closer together in the water. The second way you can influence this is by the type of tail you put on the jig. A swimmer or paddle tail type minnow will have more drag than a straight tail. This will make it rise higher in the water column. This is an easy way to keep your lines separated if you want more distance between the two. A third way you can influence this is the diameter or pound test of the line you use to add on to your main line. Heavier pound test is of larger diameter and will make your jig ride back further in the water as the line offers more resistance. Whereas lighter diameter or smaller poundage of test will let your jig ride deeper in the water. The final factor influencing these is speed of retrieve. The faster you reel, the higher the jigs will ride up in the water column. The slower you reel, the more they will sink down and have more space between each other. There's another one. Come here, little beauty. Actually gives me a little bit of a fight. Pretty nice crappie. Got this one on the minnow imitator. There you go, beautiful unhook. Like I said down there, when you're getting bites, no reason to leave them. Here's another 10.5. I'm going to go ahead and turn you back. I'm not going to keep very many today. Here's another one. Yeah, I knew this was the right move. That one inhaled that jig. Thank you, little buddy. Love your efforts. I got myself some of my scouts over here. There they are. Go. There's another pretty little fish. He's a little on the smaller side, so again, tossing him back. There's another one. This is the spot. Tell you, when you're on an unknown body of water, the double jig rig is sure a great way to find those crappies. There you go, perfect release, buddy. I was going to turn you loose anyway. If I wanted to keep more fish, of course, I'd have netted that guy, but I don't need to keep any more. I've got enough for now. Might have to switch back to marabou on my jig, or my bobber. It's doing nothing over there. Little mink or ferret or something over on shore. Oh, there's one. Nice. I like a nicer crappie. Just to make sure I get him in the boat. For camera purposes, he ain't that big. Another pretty fish. Give me that jig back, buddy. They're such a great eating fish, and they're such a good aggressive biter. Makes them so much fun to fish for, whether you're a kid or an adult. So I love them just like I'm a little kid. I tie this rig so I've got 6-pound main line that's high vis. I've got 8-pound mono above it, and you do want to tie it above so it kind of lays the right way. Keeps you from tangling up so bad. Well, the wind's starting to come up, so that's my cue to get off with my kayak. But remember, in the fall, especially if you're searching unfamiliar waters, the double jig rig is a very effective search tool. You get to use 2 different types of jigs, colors, presentations. I've got a swimmer and a straight tail, and I found a lot of fish today. So remember, if you're on unfamiliar water, try that double jig rig. It's a very effective way to find them.